Chapter 4. No singing in the House of Hope. The House of Hope should not have been difficult to find. It sat in Avernus with all the subtlety of a nobleman's ego, vast, impossible, and aggressively impressed with itself. Even from a distance, the place cut a shape against the red sky that felt less built than declared. Towers hooked upward like claws. Windows glowed gold against the ash. The whole thing had the grand, smug posture of a mansion that knew it had once belonged to Raphael and had not yet decided whether to be ashamed of that. Karlach stopped at the edge of the ridge and stared. "Well," she said, "looks cheerier." Wyll came to stand beside her. The House of Hope rose from the burning plain ahead, its old infernal grandeur patched by odd signs of life. One of the tall windows had a curtain hanging crookedly, bright blue and embroidered with what appeared to be suns, daggers, and maybe turnips. A line of laundry snapped between two gargoyle spouts. Something winged and small was trying to hang a wreath over a doorway while arguing with the wreath. Wyll's brow lifted. "Less screaming in the walls?" he said. "Usually a good sign." "Usually." Behind them, Flo made a dissatisfied sound. "Oh, it's worse than I feared." Karlach looked back. "What?" Flo, who had insisted on accompanying them as far as the threshold because "I refuse to miss what Hope has done to the curtains," was shading her eyes with one hand. Her little tilted top hat sat perfectly between her horns, as if even Avernus dared not jostle it. "It has become sincere," Flo said with genuine horror. "Look at that bunting." Wyll glanced toward the doorway, where several strips of coloured cloth flapped in the sulphur wind. One appeared to be made from a shredded contract. "I rather like the bunting." "Of course you do, Blade. You look like a man who has opinions about place settings." "I do, as it happens." Karlach grinned. "He does. Very strong feelings about forks." "I have moderate feelings about forks." "You once reorganised an entire table because the soup spoon was emotionally misplaced." "It was practically in the dessert course." Flo pressed a hand to her heart. "Gods below, domesticity has reached the hells. We are doomed." "Thought you weren't coming in," Karlach said. Flo's smile sharpened. "I said I would not stay. Very different. Besides, if Hope has eaten the archive token or married the East Wing, someone should be present to laugh." The brass token Flo had given them pulsed faintly in Karlach's palm. It felt warm, but everything felt warm in Avernus unless it was about to bite. Karlach looked at the house again. The last time she had seen it, she had been running through it with blood up, adrenaline high, and Raphael's smug voice still staining the air. Hope had been trapped then, cracked by torment, bright with madness, still somehow kind. They had torn her out of Raphael's grip, and she had stood in that awful house afterward, like a candle that had survived a storm by becoming stranger than weather. And Yurgir. Karlach scratched the back of her neck. "Think Yurgir's still here?" Wyll's mouth twitched. "You say that as if one misplaces an orphan. Wouldn't put it past this place." He fought well against Raphael. "Yeah, and against the brain." Karlach frowned. "Still can't believe that, honestly. He honours his bargains." "He killed himself because we tricked him with a song contract." "A complex foundation for friendship," Wyll admitted. Flo brightened. "Oh, are we speaking of Yurgir? Is he the enormous one with the charming murder face?" "That narrows very little in Avernus," Wyll said. "Fair." Karlach rolled the token over her knuckles once, then closed her fist. "Right. House of Hope. Blueprints under the velvet stair. Maybe a forged map. Maybe a door with teeth. Let's go." Wyll offered her his hand. She looked at it. "Really?" "Old houses can be treacherous," Karlach snorted. "You just want to hold my hand." "Yes," he said. That stopped her dead for half a second. Flo made a delighted little noise. "Oh, he's good." Wyll did not look away from Karlach. Karlach's grin spread, helpless and bright. Gods, she said. You're lucky I like that face. I had hoped. She took his hand. In the tavern, Astarion lifted his glass. I would like the record to show that I am suffering. You weren't even there, Shadowheart said. I am here now, which is apparently worse. Karlach leaned across the table. Wait until we get to the apron. Astarion blinked. Wyll looked down. Gale's pipe gave an excited little puff. Shadowheart's eyes narrowed. What apron? Karlach's grin went feral. Oh, you'll see. The front doors of the House of Hope opened before they reached them. Not all at once. First one door creaked, then the other. Then both seemed to reconsider, and opened wider, as if embarrassed by their own hesitation. Warm light spilled onto the cracked steps. Actual warm light. Not hellfire glow, not infernal furnace shine. Something softer. Candlelight. Hearthlight. The kind of gold that belonged in kitchens and libraries and rooms where people expected to wake up again. Karlach slowed. Wyll felt it through her hand. Inside, the foyer had changed. Raphael's taste had not been entirely defeated. That would have required divine intervention or arson, and possibly both. But it had been interrupted. The walls still rose in dark marble and gold leaf, still dripped with theatrical wealth, still tried to loom. But garlands of mismatched fabric hung from the railings. Little clay bowls of wildflowers sat on tables where cursed decanters had once lurked. A rug near the stairs had been turned around, possibly because one end was scorched and the other was embroidered with a cheerful sun. And across the middle of the foyer, dragging a broom in one hand and a sword the size of a fence post in the other, stood Yurgir. He wore a maid's apron, a very large maid's apron. It had lace on it. There was also a bow tie. It was red. Karlach made a sound no warrior should have made in front of an orphan. Wyll's face went utterly still. Flo's mouth fell open. For one long moment, Yurgir stared at them. Then he raised the broom. Don't... Karlach lost the battle immediately. She bent double, one hand on Wyll's arm, laughing so hard she could not breathe. Yurgir's expression darkened. It is practical. Wyll closed his eyes. I am sure it is. It has pockets. Karlach wheezed. Flo pressed both hands to her mouth, eyes shining with pure infernal joy. The bow, she managed. Oh, the bow. Yurgir pointed the broom at her. You speak of this to no one. Flo wiped an imaginary tear. Darling, I will sing of it at funerals. Then I will create yours. See? Charming. From somewhere above them came a crash, a flutter, and a voice bright enough to bruise the air. Guests! Guests with boots and breath and bones! Hope appeared at the top of the grand staircase. She was smaller than Karlach remembered. Not in body, perhaps. Hope had always had a compact dwarven sturdiness to her, all quick movements and strong hands and eyes too wide for what they had seen. But the last time Karlach had seen her, she had seemed enormous in her defiance, a little star burning in Raphael's house. Now she looked like someone rebuilding herself out of scattered pieces. Her auburn hair stuck out in several directions. Her robe was patched in at least 8 colours. A string of keys hung around her neck, along with a spoon, a tiny bell, and what looked suspiciously like a dried chicken foot. She held a tray of biscuits in both hands. Welcome, welcome, Hope cried, rushing down 3 steps before stopping suddenly and pointing at the ceiling. No chains today, no claws at tea. The ceiling knows what you did. Yurgir sighed. Hope. Hope blinked. Then she smiled, small and sheepish. Sorry, she said. Healing. The word landed gently, and for a moment no one laughed. Karlach straightened. Hey, Hope? Hope looked at her properly then. Her face changed. Oh, she whispered. The tray dropped. Biscuits bounced everywhere. Hope ran down the stairs and flung herself at Karlach with such force that Karlach staggered back a step. Karlach caught her. For all her fire, all her size, all the hell-made engine beneath her breastbone, she held Hope like something delicate and furious and precious. You came back, Hope said into her chest. You came back to the house that was not a house and now is maybe a house but sometimes bites. Yeah, Karlach said, voice rough. We came back. Hope drew away and grabbed Will's hand before he could bow or speak or do anything formal. And you, blade with horns, blade with manners, blade who helped break the songman's master. Will smiled softly. It's good to see you, Hope. Hope squinted at him. You look tired. I am. You look better. I am that as well. Yeah, but you look like someone took a leash off and forgot the man would still have teeth. Will went very still. Hope patted his hand. Good teeth, she said. Useful teeth. Metaphor teeth. Don't bite the biscuits. Astarion in the tavern leaned forward. I take back every unkind thought I had about her. You had several, Gale asked. I assumed anyone named Hope would be exhausting. She is exhausting, Karlach said fondly. But with flair, Astarion said. I respect the metaphor teeth. Shadowheart smiled into her cup. Of course you do. Hope turned to Flo and narrowed her eyes. You smell like cabaret and knives. Flo placed one hand against her chest. Thank you. That was not praise. It found me anyway. Hope pointed a biscuit at her. You have brought a dangerous coin. Technically, Karlach brought it. Coins have loyalties. This one is sulking. Karlach opened her fist. The brass token glowed against her palm. Hope's face brightened. Oh, Raphael's little eye. Sneaky little thing. He thought I did not know. I knew. I know lots. Some of it in order. Yurgir bent, picked up a fallen biscuit, inspected it, and put it back on the tray. Karlach stared. Did you just... The floor is clean, he said. It is not, Flo said. It is cleaner than most battlefields. Will glanced at the biscuit. Hope noticed and swept the tray behind her back. Do not fear. The biscuits are mostly symbolic. Mostly? Will asked. Some are structural. A deep groan rolled through the floorboards. Hope winced. The west parlour is listening. Don't mention load-bearing pastry. Yurgir grunted. This is why we do not bake during repairs. This is why you do not understand morale. I understand morale. You threatened the pantry. It was hoarding knives. They were butter knives. They were organised. Karlach slowly turned to Will. I love this place now. Will looked around the foyer, where a chandelier dripped candle wax onto a table full of flowers. A suspicious rug trembled near the stairs. Hope was glaring at an orphan over pantry ethics, and Flo seemed to be committing every detail to memory for later mockery. Yes, he said. I can see why. Hope clapped her hands. The sound cracked like a spell. Right, guests, maps, blueprints, biting rooms, tea, maybe no tea. Tea screams when nervous. Come in, come in, come in. They followed her deeper into the house. Every room carried the ghost of Raphael's taste, but the ghosts were losing. That was the first thing Karlach noticed. The House of Hope had once been cruel in a curated way. Raphael's cruelty had liked velvet. It had liked polished surfaces, dramatic lighting, rooms arranged so the prisoner understood they were part of the decor. It had been a place designed to make suffering elegant. Hope had made it uneven. That was better. A cracked mirror had been covered with a childlike painting of the sun. A torture rack had become a drying frame for herbs. A gilded chair sat in the corner wearing a knitted cover with uneven stripes. Someone had hung a sign on a door that read, East Wing, do not taunt if humming. Karlach pointed. Does the East Wing hum? Hope looked over her shoulder, only when lonely. Will's brows rose. And if taunted? It harmonizes. Yurgir stopped so abruptly that Flo nearly ran into him. No. Hope turned. Yurgir's grip tightened on his broom. No singing. Karlach looked from Hope to Yurgir. Oh, she said. Right. Will's expression softened with understanding. The song. Yurgir's contract, the one Raphael had set on him, the endless infernal verse that had bound him in Shah's temple, driving him to kill dark justiciars, to hear the contract's words again and again, until even silence must have felt like a lie. Hope's face changed too. Not pity. Hope did not seem to do pity. Pity placed one person above another, and Hope had spent too long under too many boots. What crossed her face was recognition, bright and wounded. Not all songs, she said softly, are prisons. Yurgir's jaw flexed. All songs make doors. Some doors open. Some doors close behind you. Hope nodded gravely. Yes, that is why we label them. Flo watched this with an expression Karlach could not pass. For once she did not joke. Yurgir looked away first. No singing, he said again, but quieter. Hope bounced once on her heels, trying and failing to contain herself. Perhaps humming? No. Rhythmic speaking? No. Melodic dusting. Yurgir lifted the broom. Hope sighed dramatically. Oppression. You asked me to help clean the rafters. Yes, and you are doing wonderfully. The spiders respect you. They should. They do. One wrote a poem. No. It was short. No. Karlach pressed her lips together so hard they hurt. Wyll murmured, Do not laugh. I'm not. You are vibrating. I'm emotionally moved. You are shaking the rug. The rug near her boot trembled in agreement. Hope beamed at them both. See? Better already. The house likes visitors. The house likes stories. The house likes not being owned by a man who rhymed too much and meant too little. Flo's eyebrows rose. That was almost brutal. Hope tilted her head. Thank you. You're welcome. They reached a sitting room that had clearly once been a place where Raphael did something awful while pretending it was hospitality. The walls were lined with shelves. The fireplace burned blue-white. Above the mantel hung a portrait that had been slashed to ribbons and then carefully decorated with paper flowers. Hope gestured grandly. Tea room! Yurgir grunted. War room. Tea war room. Archive staging chamber. Tea archive war room. Wyll looked around. Very efficient. Hope pointed at him. He understands. Karlach collapsed into a chair which gave a soft yelp. She jumped back up. Sorry! The chair sniffed. Hope patted its arm. It startles. Bad dreams. Sit on the green one. The green one likes heroes. Karlach sat cautiously on the green chair. It sighed blissfully. Oh, that's horrible, Astarion said in the tavern. You're telling me, Karlach said. The chair enjoyed me. I need wine just hearing about it. Had one for you, probably. Don't. Wyll remained standing until Hope shoved a cup into his hands. He looked at it. It is not screaming, she assured him. Thank you. It only screams on birthdays. Yurgir from the doorway muttered, and when oversteeped. Tea has feelings. Tea has steam. Feelings are steam in the soul. Yurgir stared at her. Hope stared back. Flo leaned toward Karlach. Has he been here the whole time? Looks like it. Wonderful. Tragic. I may visit weekly. Yurgir's gaze snapped to her. Flo smiled and waved. Hope dropped into a chair opposite Karlach, suddenly serious. The shift was so quick it made the room feel colder. You came for the blueprints. Karlach set the brass token on the table. And a forge, Wyll said. Hope nodded. Yes, blueprints first, forge after. Hearts before hammers, unless the hammer is kind. Yurgir grunted. That made sense, he said. Hope looked pleased. Some of me does. The token clicked against the tabletop and turned on its own. Once, twice. Then it opened like a tiny mechanical eye. A beam of red light shot upward, drawing lines in the air. Blueprints unfolded above the table. Not paper, Not illusion only. Something between the two. Infernal script crawled along the edges. Gears sketched themselves, erased themselves, returned sharper. A heart-shaped engine hovered in translucent red gold, rotating slowly. Karlach stopped breathing. Wyll noticed. Karlach. She held up a hand. The engine turned. Here was the cage in her chest, made visible. Here were the valves, the seals, the heat channels, the cruel cleverness of it. Here was the shape of 10 years. Here was the thing that had kept her alive in hell and threatened to kill her everywhere else. Hope's voice softened. Oh, she said. They were very proud of the wrong thing. Karlach's eyes burned. Flo was quiet. Yurgir moved closer, his enormous shadow falling over the table. Old work, he said again. War work. Not made for returning. Wyll's jaw tightened. Can it be changed? The blueprint flickered. Hope grabbed the spoon around her neck and held it up like a holy symbol. Do not answer rudely, she told the blueprint. The blueprint hissed. Hope hissed back. The lines shifted. Another image appeared beneath the engine. A forge buried under layers of battlefield strata, surrounded by skeletal war machines, old infernal rails, and symbols Karlach did not recognize but hated on instinct. Yurgir did recognize them. His face darkened. There, he said. Karlach looked at him. You know it. I know of it. Helpful? Dangerous. Also helpful. Yurgir's eyes remained on the map. Forges under battlefields are not for mending. They are for making, breaking, binding, feeding metal with pain until it remembers orders. Hope's hands fluttered. But old things forget. Sometimes forgetting is mercy. Sometimes you sing a new instruction. No singing. Speak a new instruction very brightly into the gears. Flo leaned over the table, studying the lines. This is not Raphael's design. He collected it. Because of course he did, Wyll said. Raphael had many flaws. Flo's mouth twisted. Curiosity was one of the more useful. Karlach stared at the rotating engine. Can it fix me? No one answered. That was answer enough. Karlach's shoulders went square. Can it try? Hope reached across the table and touched her hand. Yes, she said. The word was so simple it hurt. Yes, it can try. You can try. We can try. The house can help, if the East Wing behaves. Yurgir can lift things and scowl at mechanisms. Flo can read the wicked little red lines. Wyll can stand where his heart tells him and argue with death until death becomes embarrassed. Wyll blinked. Karlach looked at him and grinned despite the tightness in her throat. She's got you pegged. I do not argue with death. You have at least twice. Under extreme circumstances. Hope looked between them, smiling. And you, she said to Karlach, can decide. Not the engine, not the devils, not the man who sold you. You. The room went still. Karlach looked down at Hope's hand over hers. Hope's fingers were strong and scarred, not healed smooth, not untouched, but alive. Holding. Karlach swallowed. Right, she said. Good. Excellent. Love a choice. Terrifying thing. Very fresh. Wyll's hand came to rest lightly at the back of her chair, not on her shoulder, not trapping, just near. Flo's eyes flicked to it and away. Yurgir grunted. The forge may kill you. Yurgir, Wyll said. What? It may. Hope threw a biscuit at him. It hit his chest and bounced off. Yurgir looked down at it. Truth is not cruelty, he said. No, Hope said. But you use it like a chair leg. Flo snorted. Karlach laughed once, short and sharp. No, he's right. Might kill me. Lots of things might. That's been the general theme. Wyll's fingers curled against the chair back. Karlach heard it more than saw it. She looked up. Hey. His eyes met hers. I'm not doing this because I want to die. I know. I'm doing it because I want to live. I know. Good. Just checking. His expression softened. I may need that reminder again. Yeah, me too. The blueprint spun slowly between them, light painting Will's face red and gold. He looked tired. Hope had been right about that. Tired in the deep places. But there was something else there now, too. Hope. Not the dwarf across the table, though, yes, her too. Real and honest hope. The dangerous little upward pull of it. Karlach felt it and hated it and wanted to punch anyone who tried to take it away. So, she said, leaning back, we've got blueprints. Flo ticked a finger upward. Partial blueprints. Maps. Hope nodded enthusiastically. Biting maps. A forge, Yurgir rumbled. A battlefield forge that may object to use. A team. Karlach looked around the room. Mad as a box of cats, but a team. Flo placed a hand to her chest. How dare you? I'm at least a cabinet of cats. Yurgir frowned. Why cats? Because snakes lack whimsy, Hope gasped. Snakes have poetic whimsy. No singing, Yurgir said automatically. Hope's mouth opened. Yurgir pointed the broom. Hope closed her mouth. Then, very softly, she began to hum. Yurgir's head snapped up. Hope smiled at him with all the innocence of a lit fuse. No, she hummed louder. No. Karlach's eyes widened with delight. Wyll murmured, This seems unwise. Flo leaned back, grinning. This seems excellent. Hope stood on her chair. Welcome to the House of Hope, she sang, bright as a bell, where the doors no longer bite. Yurgir slammed the broom against the floor. No singing in the House of Hope. Hope pointed at him triumphantly. That had rhythm. It did not. It did. It was a warning. Warnings can rhyme. Karlach clapped once. Wyll covered his mouth. Yurgir turned on them. Do not encourage her. Soldier, Karlach said. I think the encouragement is self-sustaining. Hope hopped down from the chair and began circling the table. Where the candles only whisper, she sang, and the shadows mostly light. Yurgir groaned. I have been tortured by a song before, he said, each word heavy as a dropped anvil. It does not improve with harmony. Hope stopped. The humour did not leave her face, not exactly, but it gentled. I know, she said. Yurgir looked away. I know, she repeated. Old song, bad song, contract song, teeth in the tune, claws in the rhyme, made you walk and kill and hear and hear and hear. The room held its breath. Yurgir's grip on the broom tightened until the wood cracked. Hope reached up and touched his arm. Not his hand, not the weapon, his arm where old scars crossed thick hide. This one has biscuits, she said. For a moment, Yurgir did not move. Then he looked down at her. That is how they get you, he said. Hope beamed. The spell broke. Karlach laughed. Flo tapped the table in applause. Will's smile was small and aching. Not all music is a shackle, Hope said, softer now, but still with that bright, strange lift. Not all rhythm is a chain. Some songs open up the windows and let out a bit of pain. Yurgir stared at her for a long moment. No, he said. Hope nodded, accepting this with great solemnity. Then she shouted, Do not trust the spoons. They were Raphael's favourites. Karlach nearly fell out of the chair. Flo laughed so sharply the blueprints flickered. Wyll looked at the spoon around Hope's neck. Hope caught the look. This one is reformed. Comforting, Wyll said. It is trying, Yurgir muttered. The spoons are a problem. Flo wiped at one eye. Oh, this house is a gift. It is a work in progress, Hope said. The line was funny until it was not. Karlach looked around the room again. The slashed portrait with paper flowers, the trembling rug, the herbs drying where torment had once lived. Yurgir in his apron, broom cracked in one fist, a biscuit on the floor near his hoof. Hope with her keys and bells and chicken foot, singing because silence had once been stolen from her too, and she had decided to steal it back louder. A work in progress. That was one way to describe survival. The blueprint dimmed slightly, then flared. Hope clapped. Right, east wing. Archive under the velvet stair. Third scream left, unless Yurgir is correct and it has moved, which is rude. Yurgir grunted. It moved after the west corridor tried to court the pantry. Wyll stared. Court! With flowers, Hope said. Teeth, Yurgir said. Flowers with teeth. Romance is complicated. I cannot believe I missed this, Astarion said in the tavern, hand pressed dramatically to his forehead. I could have seen the courting corridor. You would have hated it, Shadowheart said. I would have judged it. There's a difference. Gale's pipe puffed thoughtfully and produced a tiny image of a corridor offering a bouquet to a pantry door. Astarion pointed at it. Stop encouraging the pipe. I am not encouraging it, Gale said. It is responding to narrative stimuli. Your pipe is a bard. Gale looked horrified. It is not. The pipe produced a tiny lute. Gale stared. Karlach laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. Back in the House of Hope, the East Wing did bite. Not metaphorically. The first door snapped at Karlach's arm when she got too close. She punched it in the knocker. It sulked open. See, she said. Court could use more punching. Wyll followed her through. I refuse to make that a governing principle. You'll come around. I will not. You said that about strategic furnaces. That has not happened yet. It will. Yurgir ducked through the doorway behind them, horns scraping the frame. He had removed neither apron nor bow tie. Flo walked beside him, admiring the effect. It suits you. Silence. The lace is a bold choice. Hope chose it. I know. If you laugh again, I will. Yurgir, Hope called from ahead. No murdering guests in the healing wing. He inhaled slowly. Flo smiled. Healing wing. This is not a healing wing, he growled. This is a corridor of hazards with curtains. Hope poked her head around the corner. Healing is not linear. A small swarm of quills shot from a side alcove. Wyll knocked two aside with his blade. Karlach caught one between her fingers and glared at it until it went limp. Flo slipped beneath another with dancily ease. Yurgir took three in the chest and did not appear to notice. Hope plucked one from his apron. See? Pockets. Yurgir looked down. The pocket had caught the quill. He grunted. Practical. I told you. They found the archive under the velvet stair. The stair was, unfortunately, very literally velvet. It moved in a way Wyll found unsettling. At the bottom stood a door with no handle, only a circular indentation the size of Flo's token. Around it, infernal script crawled lazily, rearranging itself whenever Karlach tried to read it. Flo leaned in. Raphael's hand, she said. Smug even in punctuation. Hope offered Karlach the brass token. Your choice. Karlach looked at the door. Her engine beat steadily. The blueprints hovered in her memory. The forge waited somewhere under old battlefields, dangerous as a promise. Every step from here would lead closer to the thing that might save her or break her open. Wyll stood beside her. Not in front. Beside. Your choice, he said too. Karlach glanced at him. Stop being perfect. It's distracting. His mouth curved. I assure you. I am not. Liar. Hope leaned toward Flo. They are sweet. It is disgusting. Flo whispered back, deeply. I may not recover. Karlach pushed the token into the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the House of Hope screamed. Not in pain. In recognition. The door opened onto darkness shot through with red gold lines. Shelves stretched into impossible distance. Maps hung in the air. Ledgers crawled along the ceiling. A huge model of Avernus turned slowly above a pit of blue fire. Hope stepped forward and spread her arms. "Archive!" she announced. Yurgir lifted the broom. "No singing." Hope lowered her arms a fraction. "Archive," she said, smaller. The room whispered. Pages fluttered. Far below, under red plains and old war, a forge mark began to glow on the floating map. Karlach saw it. So did Wyll. So did everyone. There it was. Not a rumour now, not a dying war machine's cough, not Flo's theatrical poison, not a ledger's insult. A place. A chance. Hope stood beside Karlach and took her hand. Yurgir stood on the other side, scowling at the map as if daring it to misbehave. Flo's face, for once, was unreadable. Wyll looked at Karlach, and the warmth in his eyes was almost unbearable. Karlach swallowed hard. "Right," she said. "Guess we're going to a forge." Hope squeezed her fingers. "The House of Hope approves," she said. The ceiling above them rumbled. Hope looked up. "The House of Hope is nervous," she amended. Yurgir grunted. "Good. It has sense." Flo smiled slowly. "Well, darling," she said to Karlach, "shall we go meddle with the machinery of your doom?" Karlach looked at Wyll. Wyll looked back. She grinned. "Yes," she said shakily. "I think we shall." In the tavern, Shadowheart sat very still when Karlach finished that part. "That was the first time it felt real?" she asked. Karlach nodded. "Yeah, not safe, not even close, but real." Wyll's hand rested over hers on the table. "The map changed everything," he said. Gale had gone quiet, pipe held between two fingers, eyes distant in the way they got when he was imagining machinery, magic, and disaster in equal measure. "A forge capable of altering infernal engine architecture," he murmured, "buried beneath a blood war battlefield. Astonishing, horrifying, fascinating." "Pick one," Astarion said. "I refuse." Shadowheart looked at Karlach. "And Hope?" Karlach smiled. Hope was hope. That sounds both comforting and dangerous. Exactly. Astarion tapped his glass. "And did Yurgir ever sing?" Wyll and Karlach looked at each other. Karlach's grin widened. "Eventually." Astarion closed his eyes. "Of course he did." "It was one line," Wyll said. "It was not one line," Karlach said. "It began as one line. It became an event." Gale perked up. "A musical event. Yurgir, had he been present, would likely have thrown a chair through a wall. But he was not present, which was fortunate, because the pipe chose that moment to release a deep little puff of smoke that rumbled in a surprisingly convincing baritone. No singing. The table froze. Then Karlach exploded with laughter. Astarion stood. "No," he said, pointing at the pipe. "Absolutely not. The pipe is doing voices now. I draw the line." Gale stared at the pipe with wonder and terror. "It may be learning from exposure. Then stop exposing it." Shadowheart rubbed her forehead. "I hate that this is not the strangest part of the story." Karlach wiped tears from her eyes. Wyll was laughing too, one hand over his mouth, shoulders shaking with the quiet delight of a man who had survived hell and could now be undone by a wizard's smoking accessory. For a moment, the House of Hope seemed very far away and very near all at once. Its strange rooms, its biting doors, Hope's bright, fractured voice, Yurgir's reluctant guard, the map glowing under the velvet stair, the first real road to tomorrow. Karlach leaned into Wyll's side and let herself enjoy the warmth of the tavern, the ridiculousness of their friends, the fact that she was still here to tell the part where the house sang and the murder cupboards sang back. Then she lifted her cup. "To hope," she said. Wyll lifted his. "To hope." Shadowheart followed. "To strange healing." Gale, still watching his pipe suspiciously, raised his glass. "To non-linear recovery." Astarion sighed, but lifted his too. "To not being tortured by songs," he said. "A principle I support." Karlach grinned. "Oh, you're going to hate the next part." Astarion looked pained. "Why do you keep saying things like that?" "Because they keep being true." Wyll squeezed her hand. Outside, the rain tapped steadily at the tavern windows. Inside, the story moved toward fire.
Well, this looks better. Less screaming in the walls.
Guests! Guests with boots and breath and bones!
Welcome! Welcome! Wipe your souls! No chains today. The ceiling knows what you did. Hope.
Sorry, healing. Welcome to the House of Hope, where the doors no longer bite, where the candles only whisper, and the shadows mostly light. There are biscuits on the table, there is tea that does not scream. If the carpet weeps a little, we are working on that dream.
In the House of Hope.
In the House of Hope, we dust away the ashes, and we learn again to cope. Tie a ribbon on the nightmare, put a kettle on the rope. It is strange and it is standing.
It's the House of Hope.
No.
No, what?
No singing. I have been tortured by a song before. It does not improve with harmony.
This one has biscuits.
That is how they get you. No singing in the House of Hope. No rhyming in the hall. No bright refrain, no sweet repeat, no chorus line at all. I have heard a contract chanting till it crawled inside my head. If one more mortal starts a verse, I may prefer being dead.
You cannot be dead. You are useful and enormous. Oh, but songs are little ladders when the floor has fallen through. They are cups of stolen sunlight. They are something we can do. Not all music is a shackle. Not all rhythm is a chain. Some songs open up the windows and let out a bit of pain.
Do not trust the spoons. They were Raphael's favorites.
I love her.
She is singing at me.
In the House of Hope.
In the House of Hope.
In the House of Hope.
In the House of Hope,
We dust away the ashes, and we learn again to cope.
tie a ribbon on the nightmare, put a kettle on the rope. It is strange and it is standing.
It's the House of Hope.
We're looking for blueprints and a forge.
Blueprints, bones and gears, paper teeth and engineers' fears.
There is an archive under the east wing.
That was easy.
It is guarded.
There it is. Down beneath the velvet stairway, past the room that hums at night. There are ledgers, maps, and war plans. Raphael hid from sight. There are names in silver circles. There are seals in blackened rope. There are clues beneath the floorboards of the House of Hope.
There are forges under battlefields where broken engines sleep. There are devils who keep secrets that they do not mean to keep. There are paths through ash and slaughter. There are gates beneath the stone. Do not look pleased, I am not singing. I am stating what is known.
That had a tune,
It did not.
bit of a tune.
a very dignified tune. I will crush the next person who says tune!
Tune. Come now, mountain made of murder. Come now, grumble made of horn. You were not built just for curses. You were not made, only torn. If the old song was a prison, let the new one be a door. Just one line, you great disaster. Then we'll ask you for no more.
One line.
In the house of hope,
There are ghosts in every beam.
there are wounds that do not vanish.
Just because you call them clean.
But the chains are lying broken, and the master lost his throne.
So perhaps this cursed old house can learn a song that is its own.
He sings, the murder cupboard sings.
I regret everything.
In the house of hope, in the house of hope, in the house of hope, in the house of hope. We dust away the ashes, and we learn again to cope. Die up, tie a ribbon on the nightmare.
Tie a ribbon!
Cut a kettle on the rope. It is strange and it is standing. It's the house of hope.